Take number two, Farpoint for PlayStation VR came out, I think like April-ish of 2017, and it's a year and a half later. I'm finally getting around to playing it at a discount, which like I got my PSVR at a discount. It is the first full PSVR game like that I played. I played experiences, I played multiplayer stuff. This is like the first big game I played. I have Skyrim, but I'm intimidated by it because I feel like if I go in, I'll never come out. Because everything takes a little bit longer in VR. Like what playing for a minute feels like 5 minutes, and it just takes longer. Before I get into the game, I made a thing called Art and Craft. It's on my channel and fwfpictures.com. Forget this, watch that. It's an actual produced thing. My wife's coming downstairs and she'll probably totally interrupt me. So Farpoint is a first-person shooter, and even though you're on kind of a track, like you don't have a wide environment to run around, it's not open world or anything, it feels like an exploration game. You're in space, you get sucked in a wormhole, you get put on a planet, and you're trying to find your ship and your crew. And the shooting is all very basic, very Halo 1, if anything else. This happened on the last one, I no longer care. So I used my DualShock for it. You can also use the aim controller, which I don't have. I have too many pieces of plastic. So what was really cool about this is how you shot. So like to zoom in, or look through the eyesight, you would have to bring this up to your eye, and you're in a headset. And it would show you like the little dial for the sight for looking into, which I thought was really cool. Until I found the limits of the PSVR, which it's a precision system, but it's built on old technology. So this is the main sensor for seeing where the controller is. So if this sensor gets blocked or the camera loses sight of it, then you're in trouble. Then it starts glitching out, or you're aiming. Like a lot of times, like I wanted to aim here, but I ended up having to move my hands like here, and I was almost aiming the gun. Like if I was aiming the gun here, if I want to shoot you, I'd aim it here, because just the camera was off, and I reset a bunch of times. It just wasn't working with me. The headset was great. The headset I didn't have any problems with. I was always going the right way. And you can play this game in free movement, so you're moving with this, and you're turning with this, but you can also play it like on a track. And this game's built for VR, so everything's coming in front of you. If you run past something, it'll probably like run in front of you before it starts shooting you again. So you're not getting like shot in the back, which is cool. You can't just put anything in VR. I think they did a really good job adapting this for VR. It is not as complex, and the gameplay is not as good as a traditional shooter. But because you're in VR, that makes up for it. And because it is well used, and they really introduce, it's like almost when 3D movies came out, like the good ones took time to introduce you to the environment. They went a little bit slower because you had more to take in, and this is like 5 times that. So very traditional game. You're mostly moving forward. The story segments were a combination of like scanning things like in Metroid Prime, and also like finding these VR things where you would go through sometimes very lengthy like VR things where people are like talking to like a diary kind of, or stuff's going on through a camera, like a security camera, and you're just in it. You're locked in it. You can turn, but you can't move or interact with it. And like one of these cutscenes was like pushing a half hour, but because you're like in it, you're physically in it, you get really invested. And some of the stuff that might have played out as corny if I was just watching it on a video game, like really affected me. Like there's a part where you see some of your space buddies. That's my way of talking to my cat. You see relationships play out, and you feel invested. And like something bad happens to them, and like I didn't cry or anything, 'cause I'm a man, but it affected me more than it would be just seeing a cutscene or a movie, because I was in it. And because like you're in 3D and you feel like their face is here, you know it's fake, but you feel like their face is there. It's more intimate. You got the 3D audio on from the headset. It all plays together, and when the technology works, it works really good. The aiming was sometimes a mess and had a bunch of drift, especially towards the end. Felt like the PlayStation was getting tired or something like that. I played this over a course of 2 weeks. So the story is sparse. You're fighting alien creatures, and then towards the end, it takes a turn towards the Halo. I feel like Sony or whoever published this thing said, you gotta have more shooting. You gotta have like tactics and make it like Call of Duty. And the last third of it is a Call of Duty game. And it was frustrating. Like, too many things shooting at you, too many cheap shots. it still was built for VR, so it's not like getting you like cheap, but between the aiming and the lack of the weapon to fit my play style, like you can only have 2 and they were very sparse in giving you them, even though it was unlimited ammo. It was really annoying. But I got through it. Story wrapped up nicely, and right now it's $15 to $20, and it's definitely worth that. It has a co-op like horde mode, and it also has a versus mode. They've added a bunch to it. I have no plans on doing any of that. I do not want to play that in VR. But the shooting is fine for VR. If you don't get motion sickness in VR, I'd really recommend this. If you do, I would probably go with something like that's a little bit more locked down. But this kind of reminded me, like, I have decent sea legs in VR, so I had free movement. I was looking everywhere. I was playing it like a slower first-person shooter. Another thing you don't realize is your field of view in VR is really ratcheted down, which made you feel like you're in a spacesuit, which was kind of cool. But really, this is your view. So you're turning your head a lot. Sometimes I would take the headset off and realize I was like almost out the door or something like that. And when the sight line got pretty janky, I could tell I was like getting out of my range. So overall, I would give this game, as a VR experience, I would give it a 9. As a video game, I would give it a 6. And you just get the VR bonus because it's newer. There it is. Got the good review and it came back. This made me, like, they could take old Call of Duties, because they love to release that stuff, strip it down, and put them out. Like, give me a Modern Warfare trilogy. You don't have to improve the graphics, because PSVR kind of looks like crap. Because it takes a lot, because you're running two screens at 60 frames per second so you don't get sick. So they have to ratchet down graphics a lot. What you're seeing is a blow up, and streamed on YouTube, so it's really grainy. It's a blow up of one of my eyeballs. So on 2 eyes, it looks better than this, but not as good as like a 4K awesome experience. But it runs well. The voice acting and acting was great. It had a couple jokes that were okay. But it's a serious video game, and VR needs more of them. And it's almost like public arts right now. Like, you have these companies like Oculus and Sony, like they're investing in these games. Because VR isn't there yet, but as a toy or as an experience, it's totally there. But as the new medium, it's not going to be there until it's completely wireless and not attached to the PlayStation, or the computer. Like, once it's its own thing, like the Oculus Go, once that gets supercharged in 4K, I think they're really going to be onto something. And I think I was immersed just as much by the audio as I was this being in VR. So thank you for watching. Again, my real thing called Art and Craft came out on the 4th of July. And I would love it if you saw it and left a comment or shared or whatever. Thanks for watching this, by the way. This is just a thing I'll keep doing because I can upload them and talk about my experiences. If you can still get PSVR for $250 and you're not spoiled by having like an HTC Vive, it's a good experience. A lot of the games that go on sale a lot, super cheap. I'd recommend it. But this cord, this PSVR cord right here, this thing is like catnip to cats. So when you're not using the headset, if you have cats or dogs, you unplug it, which is a pain. You wrap it up and you put it away. Because this thing and like the cord to my Alexa, cats just want to chew into. Like, it's kind of rubber coated, and man, I see them even when I'm playing this, like, oh, I'm gonna get a piece of that. And it was $100 because it's not user replaceable. It was $100 to replace. And I had to send it into Sony, which was a giant pain. All right, thank you for watching. I love you. Like, comment, subscribe. Link in the bio. Buy my merch. Dab on them haters. I hope you're doing well. Be sure to Instagram me Snapchats. And then I'm going to show you a close-up of Spencer before I go. Spencer, say goodbye.